All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, and I am here to kick off your week with a little bit of news. First, we got some American Gladiators, we got some Beetlejuice, some 300, and then we will button off this little episode with a little bit of the box office and what happened this weekend. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I want to get real creative today. I'm going to try and get spicy and do something I've never done before. So, hopefully, you can check this out. If you are not familiar with the 90s classic television show, American Gladiators, then you need to familiarize yourself because this was like one of those you just had to view it when it was on television because it was so awesome. But go ahead and just look for just a minute at this intro here.
Oh, yeah. From Gladiator Arena in Los Angeles, California. Here are
Gladiator Arena? That's what's up. Ice. Now listen to these names, guys. Gemini, Blaze, they just get better as we go. Thunder, look at him. Storm, Laser, and Zap. Come on. And these people are jacked, bro. Power, look at him. There's a brick house in Diamond. She could totally beat the hell out of me. I mean, these people, beefcakes. And you get to watch them do awesome stuff. So I'm just saying, all of this 90s glory right here, it's pretty beautiful. It's a beautiful thing right here that you just witnessed. You're welcome. And now I get to figure out how to stop presenting that and go ahead and actually show you guys what is going on in the news. So you can just bear with me for just one moment here. We will go ahead and dig right into it. And the news is that American Gladiators is being rebooted. I can't talk today, but I am super excited about this. If you cannot tell, I watched this show a whole bunch when I was a little kid and thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it disappeared, and that is a crying shame. So what they're saying here is that Amazon has ordered a reboot of the classic competition series for its Prime Video service. The series is produced by MGM Alternative and Amazon MGM because they're basically the same company now. And what they're saying is that American Gladiators is considered to be one of the first reality competition series. And as far as I know, I kind of remember it being the case. And it pitted a cast of amateur athletes against each other, as well as the show's own gladiators across a range of challenges, including a tough obstacle course. And they're saying that they're going to bring back the gauntlet, the hang tough, and of course the eliminator. And what was awesome is just that you got to see all those Laser and Blazer and all these crazy names that all these people have. You got to see these jacked professionals beat the absolute snot out of regular people, and it was amazing. So first and foremost, that is exactly what they have to do. They have to go back to that format, which it sounds like they are. Now, what we've also got to have is the excellent outfits. Like, I want to see a buff, ripped, jack dude or lady just like in some weird skimpy like bathing suit thing just beating the crap out of each other. Sounds amazing. So they should go full 90s, go 90s with the colors, go 90s with the intro, like go for full nostalgia with this show. I think that's what they should do. They should really lean into what this show was and try and make something very similar. And there's not a ton more news on this outside of the fact that it is coming back. But I did not realize, apparently what they're saying is that the BBC has found success by bringing this back, but they just called it Gladiators. But guys, listen, all right, we all know that the best part about American Gladiators was the American part. Ain't nobody trying to see no buff British people, all right? Everybody knows that all Americans have freaking screw loose and we just love to beat the hell out of each other. So you got to bring the American back into the Gladiator. And apparently the British took it out. So, they can have their gladiators, but we need American Gladiators back. And we need to make sure we do it better than them because, I mean, let's be honest, that's America's goal. Like, if it's happening in Europe, then like we just can do it, but it has to be a lot better. So as long as that's the case, let's freaking do it. And apparently they've gotten a second season because the show's doing so well, which bodes well for bringing back American Gladiators as long as they handle it properly. And so this show was on the air from 1989 to 1986. This was like my primitive early years. We would just watch this on TV, late night when after the parents would get off work or whatever. And they were talking about how basically it got rebooted back in 2008 and it had like Hulk Hogan involved, but it just didn't do a whole lot. It kind of just didn't go over very well. And that was back when American Ninja Warrior and things like that were big as well. And so, I mean, people have tried to bring it back. They know that this is definitely something awesome that they can do. It's just a matter of doing it right. And so, what they say is that actually they are also going, it says that they are doing a cross country casting search and basically looking around for the fittest and fiercest competitors. So, I think that they need to be smart and go the UFC route and don't try and, get all politically sensitive or correct about this. They just need to, get brutal, crazy people that are over the top and obsessed with fitness and just let everybody do these awesome obstacle courses and beat the crap out of each other, because that's what we all really want at the end of the day. Speaking of people beating the crap out of each other, it sounds like we are getting a 300 TV series, and it's at early development with Warner Brothers Television. Now, this is actually kind of surprising to me a little bit, simply because Zack Snyder can't really seem to catch a break. He just recently released 2 movies on Netflix. Both of them went over quite terribly, but as far as how they did with people viewing it, I think people are still watching it. And maybe these streaming services and outlets are starting to realize that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the critics have to say, as long as the audience likes it and people are watching it and consuming it the way that they want them to be. So maybe it's that the critics will never like Zack Snyder anymore, and it just becomes that he creates stuff for the people. And so what it's saying here is that this is very early development, but it is with Warner Brothers once again. And it says that there are no plot points really that we know about yet, except for that it is going to be most likely a prequel to the 2006 film. And if you're not familiar with it, this was a movie basically about the Spartans. This was how Zack Snyder kind of came on the scene as a director and really kind of blew everybody's minds. This movie was a really big deal back when it came out in 2006, and everybody thought it was like one of the coolest things ever. And so basically it says that deals are still being negotiated, but Zack Snyder, who directed and co-wrote 300, is in talks to direct and executive produce the series. So Deborah Snyder, his wife, who executive produced 300, would also return as an executive producer along with this. So I mean, the thing is what I think most of us have come to the conclusion with Zack Snyder is, as long as Zack Snyder does not have the pen and paper, as long as Zack is not writing, he actually can direct fairly solid things. Now, there are people that don't like his style, that don't like his brand, but there are plenty of people that do. I tend to like the stuff that he makes, even if it's a little bit too much slow-mo, a little bit too dirty as far as the, film texture, but and the browns, but outside of that, I like a lot of what he does. And I just think that when he writes, he's just not very good at it. And so Zach just needs to stick to directing, which is fine. And maybe even just co-writing and helping direct a little bit, but having a more proper actual writer behind this show could be pretty cool. And I'm on board for it. I would definitely watch a 300 TV series, especially a higher budget thing that's on Max or somewhere. That sounds like that's probably where it would be if it was with Warner Brothers. And clearly they have not been deterred from whatever he's doing over at Netflix and with what the critics have to say with him, because I think that the thing is he is becoming a director for the people, and that just kind of is what it is. Regular folks tend to like what he does, even if the critics don't, which is fine with me. And not everything is for the critics, and honestly, less should be for the critics and more should be for the people. Which brings me to Criticless. If you are not familiar with criticless.com, make sure to do that. Go to the App Store and download it. You can actually find where to download it if you're on the web version as well, but you can go to criticless.com and you can find us in Apple and Android stores. We are an entertainment reviewing platform for talking about movies and TV shows and all the entertainment you're consuming. We have groups and places for people to hang out, and you can earn badges and achievements. And I mean, there's a whole lot to do within Criticless. You can make some lists and just have fun. I mean, my most recent post was in a video game group about a video game. So we are doing all kinds of things. And when we continue to grow, we might even move into having video games on this platform. So make sure to come create an account and say hi. So moving on from 300, the TV series, let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm really curious. I think this could be cool. Is a little bit of Beetlejuice news. So if you are not familiar with the fact that there is going to be a Beetlejuice sequel, there is. And I think they're just calling it Beetlejuice, which makes it interesting because the whole thing is about saying Beetlejuice's name 3 times. So it makes me wonder if they are planning on doing a third Beetlejuice movie down the road and calling it, Beetlejuice. But anyways, I think that this remake could be really cool. I think that Tim Burton has kind of been floundering over the years, and his best stuff was in the early parts of his career. But I'm wondering if this actually might light a spark under him and get him back to what he's best doing. And a lot more good news is kind of coming out about this that makes me excited. And this little bit of news, I guess you could call it, is that basically Tim Burton said that Michael Keaton seemed to have transformed and seemed like he was possessed by a demon. So it says the filmmaker, who also helmed the original 1988 horror comedy starring Keaton, told Empire the actor had no problem slipping into his stripes again for the long gestating sequel. He claimed it was as if he had never been away, even though more than 30 years had passed since he last raised hell. As the green-haired ghost said, it was like he was possessed by a demon because he just went right back into it. Burton said of Keaton's performance, "It was insane." Catherine O'Hara added, "Insane." Jenna Ortega recalled her experience acting alongside the ghost with the most too. It was like an animal with a gun had just walked into the room. What a weird descriptor there. To watch physically change and appear, and Michael Keaton to be gone, and for me to be dealing with this Beetlejuice guy, it blew my mind. And there are a lot of actors over the years that are method actors, and that type of person that kind of really gets into the role. You know, we heard about that with Heath Ledger back in the day when he became the Joker. And it's like there are these certain roles when people play them, they have to just become another human. And I could see that with this character. And I think it's really cool that with Keaton, especially at his age now, that he can still lean into, you know, what he did back then, and to have that youthful vigor and just this over the top acting that he did back then and surprised so many people. So basically it sounds like, you know, Keaton had a little bit of a different experience as far as how he was perceived back when this movie came out. And with all of the merchandising and how big it was, there have been multiple articles where people are kind of talking about this right now, where he kind of called it off-putting with how it blew up before. And basically what he said was, he was like, "That was effing weird," said Keaton. "To be honest with you, I'm being very frank. It was off-putting to look and go, I don't want to look like all of these little things. F that. What was the thing that started it?" And so basically, it sounds like he just kind of got caught off guard by playing this weird character back in the day. And, you know, seeing his weird face on things and just everybody loving this Beetlejuice character and it becoming this cultural icon. But it also sounds like he's kind of leaning into it now and having fun with it. So I'm excited to see what he does for this movie. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm going to watch it regardless. I'm sure we will be reviewing it on Critical's Cast Unhinged and talking about it. I'm a big fan, but actually Matt, who's on the podcast, is not. So I'm interested to see what he thinks. And, you know, it seems that people from the 90s and during that time, 80s and 90s, are more nostalgic about this movie than younger people, which my kids actually seem to like it a lot when I showed it to them. So who knows? I will be watching it, though, and we will definitely check back in on this movie when it comes out. But I'm excited that apparently Michael Keaton seemed to be possessed by a demon while making this movie. So definitely fun. The last thing I wanted to touch in on was the box office. And if you are not a member of the box office talk group that Odin OMB Reviews does, you know, big shout out to him. We talk about his Geeks and Gamers article that he does every Monday, but he's been out of town, so he didn't do one today. But basically, he did drop a little bit of news in this group saying that he thinks that it's looking like Furiosa is going to lose somewhere in the ballpark of $150 million, which is definitely not peanuts. And you could pretty much make a whole movie for that. So that is not great. And it put the movie in third place actually this weekend, which is not great. So Darth Joker actually shared the numbers link for what's going on right now, which they are actually putting it in second place for the weekend, just barely. But basically, it looks like Garfield actually pulled out and is in first place, and its total gross is at 51 million. Furiosa is still only at 49, and If has made it all the way up to 80, which is pretty good after being out these few weeks. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is at 139. So they are kind of making more money, and it sounds like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes could potentially at least break even, but still not great. We've been talking about how this has just been a bad year for the box office, and I'm curious to see what the blowback is going to be going forward. But I am kind of interested in the fact that Garfield pulled it out and became #1 this weekend. But there's really not a whole lot of news there. There wasn't anything big that came out this past weekend, and this current week is going to be so-so as well. So we'll touch back in next Monday when it comes to box office, but things are still not looking that great. So I'm about to shove off here, but also just wanted to mention, if you have not checked out the Criticalist merch store, make sure to do that as well. Grab you some stickers, a hat, one of the shirts. We've got designs created from a lot of cool indie artists, and basically just any way that you guys can support us helps a whole lot. And with running a free app and platform, if you are subscribed and a member of the Crit Club, then that helps us a whole lot as well, which is our paid account. So you could do that, or you could check out some of our merch, or both. But either way, we just love y'all's support, and thank you to all our new followers that are now starting to find us on YouTube. And I hope that this helped start out your Monday and gave you a little bit of fun news to talk about. But until next time, guys,